Hey guys, Meteorologist Chris Tomer here on this Tuesday, this New Year's Eve with this mountain weather update. I want to take you up to BC first. This is Revelstoke. You've got snow coming down, and I've actually got light snow accumulation in my forecast today, tomorrow, and on the 2nd. So we've got the next 3 days worth where on and off snow will continue across a lot of Revelstoke and parts of interior BC. And you ought to see what the season totals look like so far at Revelstoke compared to some other resorts. I'll show you that list coming up here in a second. As well as my snow timeline. Let me take you into Colorado. Beautiful morning. This is the view from the ptarmigan lift there and Loveland Ski Area. You're looking off to the east, a beautiful sunrise. So the snow we had yesterday has come to an end, and now we're just waiting on the next snow. And the next snow comes in the afternoon of tomorrow, which is 1-1. So 1-1 afternoon, evening, night, and then into the morning of 1-2. And that actually could be a pretty good snowfall coming in with a west-northwest flow. So we'll look at that coming up in a few. Here's radar across the west, pretty quiet. There's a little bit of leftover snow up there in the parts of Wyoming and Montana, but really just waiting on the next storm system to come off the Pacific into the Pacific Northwest and then begin to throw that west-northwest flow down through Idaho, Wyoming, northern Utah, and parts of the central and northern mountains of Colorado. Now, up in the northeast, here's the next storm system, and it's mainly rain right now in Indiana and Ohio. It'll be turning over to snow in those areas by tonight on the back side of this. But right now it's rain. Now, that storm will then move into the northeast on the 1st. It will be turning colder simultaneously, so it'll likely be turning over to snow and snow for most of the big ski areas. And then it's going to be a lot colder after the storm system moves through. So there is going to be accumulation with this once it arrives into parts of New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. So that's coming for the 1st and the 2nd. Here's water vapor low level. So drier air is going to be oranges and reds. Your moisture is in the whites and the blues. So you've got your moisture right here. This is the next feed, the next storm system. So all of this will be targeting the Pacific Northwest. And then eventually what's going to happen is it's going to set up this west-northwest flow on 1-1 into 1-2, afternoon of 1-1 into 1-2, and it's going to target Idaho, the Tetons, the Wasatch, the Uintas, and the central to northern mountains of Colorado. So that's what's on the way. Here are my bullet points. So that west-northwest flow will come afternoon 1-1 into 1-2 for Idaho, Wyoming, Utah, Colorado. And then that's going to be followed by another storm system for 1-4 and 1-5. So I like that. Two storms sort of back to back. In the northeast, you've got a storm coming, 1-1 and 1-2. It will be turning colder and quite a bit of snow accumulation. And then an Arctic air mass, at least 2 or 3 surges are going to affect the east and even the deep south, the northeast, from basically 1-2 to 1-14. So long duration cold. We'll have to see exactly where the storm track sets up with this thing. And that'll determine who gets the snow. All right, here's my list. In no particular order, season total so far. Like I was saying, Revelstoke doing really well at 222 inches of snow so far. And you've got more coming, like I said. Next would be Mount Bachelor at 218. Great start to the season. Been watching some of the feeds, some of the people I follow on Instagram who ski up in that area, and I guess it's been fantastic. Jackson's at 162. You really, after a slow start to the season, you've made up for that in the last couple of weeks, certainly the last week. Alta at 152, so right there, neck and neck. 139 Palisades Tahoe, 1.25 at Snowmass, Vails at 115 in Loveland. Pretty good start to the year at 105, and you've got more snow coming as well. Here's my snow timeline. Best odds of snow for the Wasatch, Tetons, Colorado, Tahoe, and interior BC. So there you go. Interior BC, light snow accumulation today, tomorrow, and on the 2nd, and then potentially moderate to heavy 1-3 and 1-4. Wasatch, Tetons, Colorado. Your next storm system comes in on 1-1, probably in the afternoon, and continues into 1-2. And in the Wasatch, it'll be light to moderate, but it's definitely going to be moderate up in Little and Big Cottonwood Canyons. I'll show you that. Tetons, moderate to heavy for that. Colorado, light to moderate. And then there's some additional snow in a second storm system around 1-3, 1-4, 1-5, and you can see that play out there. I don't have a whole lot for Tahoe. Light to moderate on 1-3. All right, let's drill down into Alta. So this is Alta. And this is your meteogram forecast, and this is effective for about 9,000 feet. So dry today, that's today right there on the column for the 31st. There's the first, there's the second, there's the beginning of the third. So this particular model does a couple of things. Winds increase tomorrow on the first of the new year with gusts of 30 to 40 miles per hour, helping to drive this snow production that comes in. Now, this has a lot of the snow accumulation happening on the first, midday into the afternoon. That's definitely possible. And then it would continue into the second, the morning of the second. So you're looking at a pretty big powder day on the second. This cranks out about 10 inches of accumulation for Alta snowboards. So it's moderate to heavy, potentially, according to this model, for Little and Big Cottonwood Canyon, Solitude, Bright, and Alta snowboard could see 8, 10 inches of snow. That's certainly possible. I think there's going to be less, though, as you go up towards I-80 and a lot of Park City and Deer Valley. But that's pretty interesting to see. So now that is Alta, again, at about 9,000 feet. Let me show you. This is Vail. So this is going to be for Vail. And this altitude is effectively 10,000 feet. So you're looking at pretty much near the top of Vail ski area. So there's today, 31st. There's the first, there's the second, there's the third. So on this particular forecast, totally dry today. Now tomorrow, the snow comes in the afternoon. Continues into the morning of the second. So looking at a powder day on the second. This cranks out about 6, 7, 8 inches of snow across Vail. So we're looking at moderate snow accumulations, potentially across the central and northern mountains of Colorado, according to this. So wind gusts tomorrow in the Vail area flare up to about 30 miles per hour. So not terrible there, but it is going to be a much higher wind over the Continental Divide on the Front Range high peaks, and I'll show you Berthoud Pass coming up. So that's Vail. Okay, let me show you Berthoud Pass. So Berthoud Pass up there between Winter Park and Loveland Ski Area. It's its own pass up there. This is the time height forecast, and what I'm looking for is the green. And you can see the green coming. That's moisture plus some lift. Afternoon, this is like a 72-hour forecast. So a slice through all the vertical layers. That's what you're looking at. Looking at the timeline from right to left, green increases midday afternoon on the first, continues to be pretty flush with moisture on the second. So it's probably going to snow up over Berthoud Pass, Loveland Pass, through the second. And again, looking at several inches of accumulation. Look at Berthoud Pass here on this particular model. A lot of the snow comes in afternoon of the first, continues all the way through the second. This has got almost 10 inches of accumulation over Berthoud. So looking at 6, 7, 8, 6, 7 for the Vail area, potentially 8, 9, 10 for Berthoud. So with this west-northwest flow, there's always this sort of tendency to overproduce. And that could be the case again here with this. This could be a pretty good little storm system. A nice flow with a nice powder day on the second. Here are the winds for Berthoud Pass. So the red circles are your gusts. Look at the gusts coming in. Afternoon of 1 into the morning of 2. We could be looking at gusts of 60 to 70 miles per hour. So this is going to be a wind-blown snow with this west-northwest flow when it comes in. It's going to be very windy over the Front Range high peaks of Colorado. Looking at the jet stream pattern, by close of business today, running basically from west-east. So whatever hits the Pacific Northwest, you can see it comes down with that west-northwest type of flow pattern. There's Wednesday, and look at that, perfectly west-northwest flow, right down through Idaho, Montana, Utah, and into Colorado. There it goes through, and then the pattern kind of shifts away. Next storm system, you can see the dip in the jet coming off the Pacific, hits, and that's that chance of snow for parts of Tahoe and Shasta up into the Pacific Northwest. Then that storm is going to roll into the interior 1-4 through Utah, Wyoming, Idaho, Colorado, and then it slides away. Then there may be another storm right here. So this is 1-6. Look at the dip in the jet, 1-6, 1-7, and the jet's straight out of the north to south. So whatever's happening in the north will be brought down to the south. And here we are by the time we get into 1-9, pretty much the same. So what do we have as far as precipitation goes? Well, here's the forecast radar and satellite. By this afternoon at 5:30, you can see where the precip is. Just getting ready to move into the Pacific Northwest, and then watch what happens with this. Starts to get blown into the interior with that west-northwest flow through parts of Idaho, and then boom, it hits the Wasatch, the high Uintas, the Tetons, midday into the afternoon of 1/1. Starts to snow in the central to northern mountains of Colorado, and it doesn't quit. That west-northwest flow cranks out some pretty good snow into the morning of the 2nd. The 2nd's going to be a nice powder day for the Tetons, the Wasatch, central to northern mountains of Colorado. Now, this actually has it fading or curtailing by the afternoon of 1/2. I wouldn't count on that. It may continue to hang on over the central to northern mountains of Colorado through the afternoon of 1/2. I showed you that possibility with the higher humidity through the afternoon. Next storm system, here it is. This is the 131415 storm. Here it comes. Moves into the interior. There it is on 1/4, Utah, Wyoming, Colorado, Montana. Another storm hitting the Pacific Northwest. Look at that snow continuing in Colorado on 1/5 in the morning. A reinforcing shot of snow comes up over the top through 1/5 and 1/6. And keep in mind at this point, the jet's basically running straight north to south. So whatever's coming in from Canada drops all the way down through Montana, Wyoming, and straight through Colorado. And you can see that the effect of that with the snow blossoming through southern Colorado on the heels of that. And it's still there on 1/7. Then it finally moves away. Another storm system drops straight north to south. This is on 1/9. All right, here's my snow forecast. So all of today through tomorrow, this model is pretty conservative. My numbers are pretty conservative right here. I would say in the Wasatch, I showed you the range. It could be up to 10, 11 inches of snow. So anywhere from, and this only runs through 1/1. There's additional snow on 1/2. So in this time period, probably 2 to 4 for the Wasatch, and then we could add some additional snow on 1/2. In Colorado, you've got potentially 2 to 6 inches there across I-70 and north, and potentially 5 to 8 up through the Tetons, and some light snow accumulations up there in interior BC, Idaho, northwest Montana, and the Pacific Northwest. Second time period, this is all of 1/2. So again, there's some additional snow that falls on 1/2, potentially another 2 to 4 inches through a lot of the Wasatch. So again, that puts you in that range of potentially 4 to maybe 10 inches, maybe 12 on the high side, through parts of the Wasatch between that 1/1 and 1/2 storm system. And then we may add some more on 1/4 and 1/5. And you can see the numbers in Colorado, potentially another 6 to 12 inches of snow, even snow through southern Colorado late in the period. Looking at good snow, another foot up there around the Tetons, potentially 7, 8, 9, 10 through parts of Montana. Good stuff through Brundage and Schweitzer. And look at interior BC, 6 to 10 inches of accumulation during this time period, 1/2 to 1/8. And maybe a foot up there around Crystal and Baker, Rainier, all the way down through Timberline and Bachelor. Could see maybe a foot around Shasta, but quite a bit less for Tahoe and Mammoth. Okay, into the Northeast, again, the 1/1, 1/2 storm should drop some pretty good snow. You can see a lot of it's in the northern tier through parts of New York, northern Vermont, northern New Hampshire, northern Maine, where we could see 10, 12, 14 inches of accumulation. Maybe up to 20, 21 inches over Jay Peak, just catching that high end total there. We'll see. But Snow Ridge, Whiteface could see a foot of snow, and then less as you go into southern Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, Massachusetts, and southern New York State. All right, guys, we'll end on this again. This is snow all of today through tomorrow, and then we'll add to that with snow on 1/2 through 1/8. Thanks for tuning in here on this New Year's Eve. I hope everybody has a wonderful day today. Appreciate you tuning in here and everything that you've done for this channel this entire year. It's highly appreciated, guys. Take care.